As you guys know, travel isn't free, but knowing how to use points, status, and the right credit cards, that can take a $5,000 trip and cut it down to just a fraction of the price. I just got back from San Diego with my family, and in this video, I'm just going to walk you exactly how I did that, from what I paid, what I would have paid, and the nitty-gritty controversial ways to consider things free. But let's start with a trip overview. Sarah and I had a wedding in San Diego during Memorial Day weekend, which also meant an expensive travel weekend, and we decided to fly out Thursday, partly to save costs, but also so that we could have more time in San Diego. Then we flew back home on Monday, the holiday, and of course we had our son Noah with us. And if you know Woohoo Group, we love Hyatt hotels, and we've heard a lot of great things about the Grand Hyatt Manchester San Diego, and so wanted to book our stay there, and I had a available Suite Upgrade award for 4 nights at that hotel. Finally, we did need a car to drive around, mostly to the wedding in Escondido outside of San Diego, but also see other parts of the city like the zoo. So what I'm going to do now is break down the trip into the big buckets of travel, food, entertainment/other, and show you how much, again, how I actually paid, whether through cash or points, and how much it would have cost if I paid it all in cash. But if you want to skip over all those details for the rest of the videos, taking a lot of assumptions, basically just for travel and food alone would have cost me over $5,000, maybe $3,000 if we're being very conservative, but I only paid less than $500 or closer to even $300 how you swing it, and 134,000 points were used. Okay, so travel is obviously the big bucket of spend, so let's break down each aspect. First, the flight there. I booked on United because I had the best time, and I actually kind of booked it in cash. Let me explain. I had $800 in United Travel Bank credit because of an American Express Business Platinum credit/hack. Basically, the Amex Platinum, both the personal and the business, give $200 airline incidental credits each calendar year, and I have 2 cards that I opened in late 2024. So I used a quick hack, which is to charge $100 twice onto United Travel Bank for each card to get the full $200 credit. So I did that in 2024. Then on January 1st, 2025, I did the exact same thing, double dipping the credits. My plan later this year is to cancel both these cards, so I earn a full $400 on each card from only a $695 annual fee. The card does come with other credits to help me recoup the annual fee, like a Dell credit, but if you really want to be conservative, you could say the $800 in United credits I got were actually just prepaid rather than fully free. I'll compromise and say that in reality, 400 of those United credits were prepaid, and maybe the new $400 are essentially free if I do cancel the card, which I will. But for the sake of this video, I'll consider what I actually paid for the flight to be fully free, which is $516.98, which is close enough to that $400 mark, and it was for 2 adults and a lap infant. For the return flight, I actually booked on Alaska because it was a better time in the mid-morning, so I didn't have to wake up super early, which was the United flight, or the other flights were just too late. And more importantly, so I could visit the Chase Sapphire Lounge there. Now, it would have honestly been better for me, cost-wise, to just book the flight in cash, but as someone that has so many points, more than I can use, I want to use my points even though it's what experts would call a bad redemption. So what I did is I transferred 60,000 American Express membership reward points to Hawaiian Airlines for $36. Yes, American Express charges an excise tax when transferring points to domestic airlines. Other banks actually do this as well, except they cover the tax for you. Except for American Express, they charge you. So then, having 60,000 points in Hawaiian Airlines, I transfer them for free to Alaskan Airlines because of the new partnership where Alaska has bought Hawaiian, so you can now transfer their points 1-to-1. With those points, I was able to book 2 economy seats and a lap infant for 60,000 points and $11.20. This flight would have normally cost me around $678, so I honestly didn't really save that much money comparatively. But hey, it's less out of pocket for me, and on the way back, the flight attendant gave us the whole road to ourselves, which is nice to have. So, now with the flights complete, we have a total of $47.20 spent, plus 60,000 points for a total value of $1,197.98. Now let's do the hotel. The Manchester Grand Hyatt San Diego was an amazing hotel with a lot of great benefits and amenities we'll go over. For 4 nights, I booked the king bed for 74,000 points or 8,500 points per night. Normally, this would have cost $1,581 or almost $400 per night, but keep in mind that it's probably a higher price for Memorial Day weekend. But anyways, that's a solid 2 cent per point value, but we're not done yet. I also had a suite upgrade award that I applied to this day, giving us an automatic upgrade to the King Bed Studio, which normally goes for $450 per night, so saving us $200 for the stay and way more room, as you can see. And as a side note, at check-in, I asked if the connecting room was available, and they were able to grant it to me for free. That way we could keep Noah in a separate room when he went to bed, and we could still relax on the living room and sofa. So that was essentially another $1,500 in value. But for the sake of the analysis, we're going to stick with the $1,581.76 I would have paid to stay at the hotel, rather than inflating with the suite and the extra room, but we'll still keep it in mind. And finally, I left $20 tip for housekeeping since we only did it once during our stay. So now our tally is $67.20 spent plus 134,000 points for a total value of $2,799.74, or an inflated value of $4,581.50. Next, let's move on to the rental car. I used my Capital One Venture X's $300 travel credit to book this $192.96 rental car from Hertz. So I really consider this portion as prepaid since the card's annual fee is $395 and it comes with a $300 travel credit. Since it's prepaid, I won't count this in our main totals, just put it in the inflated price. As an extra bonus, the card also gives me Hertz presidential status, so I was able to skip the counter, walk straight to the lot, and pick up any car, then drive out. So that saved plenty of time and hassle, especially since it was past Noah's bedtime. Then, parking at the hotel was $45 per night for self-parking or $65 per night for valet. Since I just don't like tipping, I just went with self-parking instead of the valet. So that would have cost me $180. But since I have global status with Hyatt, I get free parking on nights booked with points. So that was totally free. Finally, last thing with the car, I had to fill up the tank before returning the car, and San Diego gas is pretty expensive, but we didn't drive too much, so that was a straight $28.23. So, adding in the car to our total, we spent $95.43, 134,000 points for a total value of $3,007.97, or an inflated price of $4,982.69. And remember, the rental car is only going to inflated price. So, getting all my numbers down, but that pretty much sums up all our travel expenses. Food is our favorite bucket when we travel because we save so much on travel costs, we can up our food budget a little bit. But that doesn't mean we didn't save a huge chunk of money on our meals. Another key aspect of Hyatt Globalist status that I get free is the club access at the hotel and free breakfast every day. And no, breakfast is not just a mediocre continental breakfast you get at a roadside motel. Depending on the Hyatt, you can get a full hot buffet or even unlimited entrees. At this Grand Hyatt, it was a great buffet spread with hot eggs, meat, salmon crudo, juices, fruits, and a lot more, as you can see. Then, during the evening hours, the lounge provides what they call hors d'oeuvres, but I actually call it dinner buffet. Like the first night we were there, they had Asian noodles and decent steak and a whole salad bar. So that was enough for us to eat. Finally, each night they offered a dessert selection, which we took full advantage of, but I won't consider the desserts into the calculations. For the sake of the estimations on breakfast and dinner, though, I'm going to estimate a super conservative amount of $15 per person per meal value we got from the lounge. Yeah, so you can buy/redeem points for lounge access or go out to eat for cheaper or more money. But I think $15 is pretty low but fair for these estimates. If you paid for club access, it would be like $65 a night, or points-wise, 7,000 points. So it's not really worth it doing that way. It's best to get it through status or getting an award. So I'm not even going to include that in the inflated price because I don't think anyone would actually pay for it. Some people probably do, but I wouldn't. So to calculate our meals, we ate Thursday dinner after we landed, Friday breakfast, Friday dinner, Saturday breakfast, Sunday dinner. So for 2 people, 6 meals, that's $180 saved. Then let's tack on the lounges. The Thursday afternoon we left, we had lunch at the Capital One Lounge at Dulles, free with our Venture X cards. And on the Monday morning we left, we ate at the San Diego Chase Sapphire Lounge, which was super nice. I tipped $5 since they had servers, but I'll still consider it $15 per person value for each of these. So that's another $60 value of meals for only $5. But don't worry, we're foodies. We also like to eat and want to eat at some of the awesome places in San Diego where we travel, like poke bowls and sushi. So for one of our meals, we got poke bowls and sushi for $72.70. Kind of pricey, but it's really good. We got the famous tacos El Gordo. I had a lot of tacos, and they're pretty cheap, actually, so that was only $15. Then the famous Crack Shack for $45.27 during lunch. And then we got acai bowls, one lunch for $17.89. Plus, Sarah loves drinking coffee, so we went to Tiger Coffee for $6.45, and then she went to another coffee place, I forget the name, where she got it for $7.09. Finally, the hotel provided a $10 credit to the upstairs bar each night, and we had 2 rooms, remind you. So we got a total of $49.12 of desserts for only $19.12. And obviously a big meal that we had was at the wedding, which is technically free, although we did send a wedding gift. But let's just ignore that in this equation. So for food in total, we spent $188.52, but got minimally $458.52 in value. Again, I'm conservative on the food amount. But let's add that into our travel costs. So in total, we have $283.95 plus 134,000 points spent for $3,466.49 in value, or an inflated price of $5,441.21. Again, depending how you want to calculate everything. Finally, entertainment/other. There's no point in going on vacation but staying at the hotel all day. I mean, this hotel is really nice. It had a pool, basketball gym, and the lounge, obviously. But because we had the wedding and wanted to do other activities that cost some money, other things didn't, and I'll go over that. So the big highlight was going to the San Diego Zoo, which I hadn't been to since I was a kid, and Sarah's never been. Now Noah's gone, but honestly, he slept most of the time, so don't worry about him. Normally, tickets go for $76 per person, but on Costco online, they were $63.99, so that helped save us a bit of money. Then Sarah wanted to go to Morning Lavender, which is apparently a tea shop, boutique clothing store, and we just got some afternoon tea there for $14.95. Back at the hotel, they offered a bunch of free things included in the stay, so that's for anyone, not just points or globalists, but anyone booking the hotel, such as a 1-hour kayak rental, bike rental, and other perks. I personally took advantage of the free shoe shine, which would have cost me $25 total, but instead all I had to pay was a $5 tip. Then there was also a free 1-hour boat tour included, so I got free tickets for myself and friends. Technically, it was just 1 ticket per room, but I was able to snag 6. But for the sake of this argument and video, we'll just consider myself, which is a $36 tour ticket, completely free of the San Diego Bay. Finally, we had to go to the grocery store to get some diapers for Noah, since we didn't want to travel the whole pack of diapers from home, so we bought them at the grocery store, and it was $19.16. So for all of that, we spent $167.09 for $247.11 in value. Again, to be fair, maybe we probably would not have done the boat ride if we had to pay for it, but it's still nice to consider that we got value from it. So, totally of everything, we spent $451.04 plus 134,000 points for $3,173.60 in value, or an inflated value of $5,688.32. I hope this helps cover and give you the behind the scenes of what I actually do to make my trips free. Obviously, there's still going to be expenses, but the thing I wanted to show you guys is that by using points, by having status, you can really elevate your vacations without elevating the cost. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a good trip.